people, and welcome to the RetroBrown solo challenges in Kanto. Today we are doing a solo run with just Koffing, and I'll explain in a minute why this is a really bad Pokemon, to be honest. But before that, we need to name our rival, who is going to be Holographic Skux. Thank you for subscribing and welcome to the channel. So yeah, Koffing is a bad Pokemon in comparison to the previous poison type we've just done a run with in Tentacruel. Reason why? I mean, one, we're a mono poison type, which never does all too well, and we don't have a great base stat total. We've got 35 in speed, 40 in HP. Speed is probably the most valuable out of the 5, I would say, in this generation. But we do have decent defense. We do have like a 95. It's pretty damn good for a base stage. With 65 attack and 60 special, it kind of puts you in a bit of a mixed attacker range. But looking at our level up moveset and our TM moveset, we're probably going to have to be better off going for the specials. The first Pokemon we're going to go against is the rival, and with this Bulbasaur, this gives us the hardest matchup throughout the majority of this game, and we don't even win the initial fight. That bodes well, doesn't it? I might say that a lot throughout this entire video. Now, considering this Pokemon is generally caught towards the back end of the game when you get it on Cinnabar Island in the Burnt Mansion, we don't actually learn another move until level 32. That means to get through Brock, we only have Tackle and Smog because there are no TMs that you can get before Brock. And that's a big problem, considering these are two of the worst moves in the generation. Smog is a poison type move with 70% accuracy and 20 base power. If we don't deal out enough damage against Brock, it also means that we will just miss attacks because we won't deal out enough damage, and the game recognises that as a miss instead of just saying we did no damage. Tackle as well, not the most accurate move at 95% and 35 base power. So we're going to struggle a lot in this early game, and we're going to need to go against every single trainer and a lot of mandatory random wild Pokemon, just so we can actually get enough levels up to make this even doable. And because of this moveset and these stats, we're probably going to spend a hell of a lot of time in this early game before Brock, probably even more than the rest of the entire run to begin with. We even go against the rival to the west of Viridian, which is an optional fight. Sometimes we do not go against this fight. And this Bulbasaur is very trolly against us. It sets up Leech Seed, it uses Growl, meaning our tackles just don't deal out enough damage, and we take a loss. So we need to go up to level 11 and give this another try. On the very first turn, we get the Pidgey Poison with Smog, which I think Smog has got a higher poison chance, and that really makes a difference against this Pidgey. Doesn't really help that we've been sand attacked a few times, so we're just going straight for the tackles. And again, we get Leech Seeded, which puts us in a very bad position. And then that Bulbasaur just spams 6 Growls, and we have just got nothing to work with to outspeed this Leech Seed damage. We need to be a higher level to make this possible. We need to get through that Pidgey as quick as possible, because that Bulbasaur is trolly as hell. So this time around, we're just going to go straight for the tackles. It deals out more damage. And thankfully, the Pidgey does not use Sand Attack. We're on 25 HP going into Bulbasaur, and we get a lot of hits in before he starts going for the Growls. He doesn't even set up Leech Seed this time. But yeah, I wasn't imagining that would be a hard fight. Enough talking, let's see how we do against Brock. Now, we've got into this at level 16. We've done a hell of a lot of training up, and we are going to speed up the fight as much as we can. Now, you might think, well, if you just poison them, you'll be fine. Well, that doesn't really work in this initial fight. Brock has got 6 full heals for each Pokemon. So if you really wanted to poison them and then deal out damage that way, you need to use Smog at least 6 times, and every time it needs to poison. Well, at least 7 times, really. So Smog is not really the best strategy to be using here. You can use it to try and get a bit of chip damage off and also waste Brock's turn as he uses a full heal. But the majority of the time you are going to be using Tackle. Thankfully, Tackle does have a lot of PP to work with 35 move usage, but even at level 18, we really struggle to even get past the Geodude of all things. So what level did we actually beat Brock at? We beat him at level 22. We took so much time, and apart from maybe 1 or 2 other Pokemon, this might be the most time that I've ever spent in the early game just trying to beat Brock. This was an insanely hard fight. Thankfully, we did have good defenses to tank hits, but my god, this is a difficult fight. We even managed to get the Onyx poisoned 6 times to even get a win. But yeah, level 22 is ridiculously high to beat the very first gym in Kanto. But that gives us a little bit of breathing room because with us being so high level, nothing really can deal out too much damage to us moving through to Cerulean City. Mount Moon is complete steel, and Cerulean City comes with two big challenges. The first of us is going to be Misty, who we'll try first. So we're going into this fight at level 25. We should really put Bide on our moveset, but I'm trying not to use Bide as much for this fight. I want to try and just do it with a Pokemon's original movesets going up to this point. And yeah, we're at half HP going into the Starmie, and because we are not a water type, they will use their water type moves against us. And Bubble Beam just deals tons of damage out. So maybe we need a few more levels. We're going to go against the rival first, and we'll go straight back to Misty after this. So the rival fight here, we don't deal out much damage with Tackle. We really need a new move to work with, and that's not going to happen really until we get Thunderbolt. We can't even get Body Slam because this is technically just a gas ball that floats around, so why would it Body Slam you? It would explode if it did that, if you were going to go accurate to the low. The rival, definitely the easier of the two fights in Cerulean, and that moves us on to going against Misty again. Can we do this at level 26? And we're dealing out decent damage with Tackle, but 8 levels above it, and it still takes 4 hits. That's really, really bad. Next up is the Starmie, and it goes for a big Bubble Beam to start off with, and then decides to just use Tackle and X defense. If we can stall this out with poison damage, we can actually get the win. But that requires incredible luck so that she doesn't use her water type moves. Going up to around about level 28 before we get onto the SSN. Yeah, it's a slog. We've recuperated some time because we've not gone against a lot of optional fights after Cerulean, but still, there's a lot of difficult fights ahead for a Koffing. It's not a great Pokemon, and unless you're looking for a really big challenge for Gen 1, yeah, I'd probably stay away from doing this one as a solo run. We do lose to the Kadabra, and that is going to be a big problem later on in the run. We really need to get better luck against the Pidgeotto as per normal, as we don't want to get hit by Sand Attack. And thankfully we don't take too much damage from the rest of the moves. Tackle is going to be a free shot on the Raticate, but annoyingly we do take quite a lot of damage going into the Kadabra. We need to get through this Pokemon without taking any Psychic type damage. Is crazy. Getting through to the Ivysaur, not a problem, and because Grass is resisted against Poison, we can actually manage to get the win, but that was still a hard fight. I can't believe we're still relying on Tackle. But very soon we will get the move Sludge at level 32. Hope we don't need that for hope we don't need that for Lieutenant Surge, because that would be even more embarrassing for this run. We find the electric locks and head in. Surge is a mixed bag for us. We don't have the greatest moveset to work with, and it doesn't help that Voltorb also uses Sonic Boom that deals a set 20 damage each hit. We go into the Pikachu with less than 2/3 health and we get paralysed. And now they start using Growl. Unless we get an absolute miracle here, we will not beat this Raichu. And yeah, Thundershock hits, then Thunderbolt. We're going to need something different here. So we do go up to level 32. Annoyingly, I really don't like having to do this. But Sludge is just a great move. Like, 65 base power, Poison Stab on it. It's doing far more damage than any of the other moves that they can deal out. So we do get the move Thunderbolt from beating Surge, and that actually gives us both a physical and special attacking moves to work with. Now we've got Sludge and Thunderbolt. And the mid game is going to be a lot easier than what we've just experienced in the early game. This is not a good early game Pokemon, which makes sense why they put it in the back end at Cinnabar Island. The Rapping Lass is not a problem, but what is going to be a problem are the Pokemaniacs in the Rock Tunnel. Bone Club is super effective because we are weak to ground type moves. We do not have Levitate in Gen 1. And yeah, it just deals out so much damage. Thankfully we do have Thunderbolt to deal with the Slowpoke, but my god, I don't want to see another ground type for a while. Oh wait, the Exploding Hiker, who doesn't have ground type moves. But we also don't have any moves that can really work against it. We're really just... we have to use Sludge. And it's not doing that much damage whatsoever. We can tank Self-Destructs pretty comfortably, but there are 3 Pokemon to deal with and they all know Self-Destruct. So, this is going to need a bit of luck. So, it can be done at this level, but only if the Geodudes and the Gravelers use self-destruct pretty much straight away. Annoyingly, this Geodude doesn't use until after a couple of tackles, but we've got 30 HP to work with. Can that work with this Graveler? We miss a Rock Throw, and then a self-destruct leaves us on 4 HP. This is a bad Pokemon. But I did endure to do every single Pokemon in Gen 1 and Gen 2, so here we are. This is why this run has to happen. The rival in Lavender Tower is actually very, very easy for us. We can use Sludge, we can use Thunderbolt to pretty much take down his entire team pretty comfortably, but we are massively overleveled in comparison. We beat him first time and then progress on to Celadon, where we can finally not get a new move. But what we can pick up is the Pokédoll, because we might need that later on, you never know. We're going to open up Saffron City, and I honestly thought that we can go and get the TM for Mimic a lot earlier, and then I realised, this guy's here. We can't get Mimic yet, we'll have to come back. That brings us to Erica's gym, and the next challenge we need to deal with. But first, she's got this trainer here, which goes down to a single Sludge. Let's see how we do against Erica. Now this is going to be a bit of a mixed bag for us. We can use Sludge, we can deal out decent, consistent damage now, even if we are 6 levels ahead. And thankfully, because of our typing, they won't use some of their moves. Sludge is a one-shot on Tangle because it's super effective. And Vileplume, it will use Sleep Powder, which is annoying, but Petal Dance is barely anything to worry about. As soon as we wake up, we get 2 more Sludges in. That's an easy 4th badge. Who would have thought Koffing would be good for the mid-game of Pokemon Kanto, like Pokemon Blue? Anyway, that brings us to the Giovanni fight, and yet again, another problem. We have nothing to work with for rock types, we have nothing to work with for ground types. What can we do differently here? Well, I'm going to try and conserve my Sludge PP because we need it for the Rhyhorn. We need the poison damage to just slowly whittle away against the Onix, and then go into the Rhyhorn. If we can get this Rhyhorn poisoned, we've got a chance, and we don't. Smog is doing so little damage that it doesn't even hit the Rhyhorn. So we've just got to go with tackles, and I don't think we're going to outspeed or outpace this Rhyhorn in damage output. We get down to 1 HP, and finally the Rhyhorn takes us down. So we go up to, we went up to level 40 to make this fight even viable. Like, I had a few other attempts where I did get to the Kangaskhan, but as soon as that Kangaskhan came out, we were on so little HP after the first 2 that we had nothing to work with. This time round, we managed to keep a few Sludges, and we get it poisoned pretty quickly. We get poisoned with our last Sludge, so that actually made the difference, because now we can outpace it in damage output. We will be on low HP going into the Kangaskhan, but we've got enough to work with to get a Thunderbolt in, and thankfully he only went for Rage this time. That really helped out as well. But level 40 to beat Giovanni number 1, it's embarrassing. Next big challenge as well, of course, is the Marowak Ghost in Lavender Tower. Yes, this is actually a hard fight for us, because it is, even though it's technically dead, it's still got its ground typing, and that's annoying because Bone Club does massive damage on us. We do manage to finally beat it though, but that did take a few tries. And then we got the Poker Flute, meaning we can head over to complete Silph Core, or we can go to Fuchsia City. I'm pretty sure you know that I'm going to be going for Fuchsia City as the easier route here. Plus we can also get a few new moves. Let's see how we do. Koga is out next, and we're going to show him why we are the best poison type trainer in this region. We Thunderbolt our way through and not use any poison moves whatsoever. Yeah, Thunderbolt is the only reason why a lot of these fights become even doable sometimes. It's pretty much a 1, 2 or 3 shot on most of his Pokemon, and he decides to just go for self-destruct with just very pitiful damage on the Koffing because of our big defenses. We also pick up the move Toxic, which will be useful later on, and we pick up the HM for Surf. Now you might be wondering, we've gone past level 37 and we haven't learned Smokescreen. Pretty much this is part of the rule set now that we do not use any evasion, lowering or increasing moves. It's banned on my runs now. So yeah, we cannot use Smokescreen to cheese this, otherwise we would be doing this a lot easier. Thank God we have Thunderbolt though, because it is such a good move to sweep through the rival's team. A lot of his team are weak to it, Sludge is perfect for the Alakazam because it's physical damage and he doesn't have great defenses, but we need to make sure we don't take any damage whatsoever from Psychic type moves, because it does a ton to us. We can one-shot... Yeah, we've got up to level 51 here. That's a ridiculously high level for Rival 5. But we are one-shotting most things with Thunderbolt. And that brings us to Alakazam, where we've got better defenses against his Psychic type moves. We can get a Sludge in and one-shot, bringing us into the Venusaur. We're on 5 HP going into Venusaur, and he whiffs a Leech Seed, sorry. Meaning, at level 51 we get our first win. But that was a lot of tries and a lot of leveling up to get to that. That's embarrassing. This Pokemon is embarrassing. And yeah, Team Rocket made a bad choice with Koffing in this generation, I think. Iconic Pokemon in the anime, but my god, not great in a playthrough. Now we have got the move Toxic though, we actually have something to work with against Rock and Ground types. Because this means that poison damage will accumulate and deal more damage every single turn, and we can take them out quicker. And then I realised we're up against Nidoqueen, a poison ground type. Thunderbolt will not work here, Toxic will not work here, and Sludge does barely any damage, and we take yet another loss. This is bad Pokemon. So we actually for once leave Giovanni for a while, and we're going to go down to Cinnabar Island. Now why are we going here? Well, there's a lot of trainers here that can give us good experience, and we can get a lot of levels up here. We can also pick up the move Fire Blast if we beat Blaine, and that's going to be a key move for this run. Why can this Pokemon learn Fire Blast? I have no idea. Why can it learn Thunderbolt or Thunder? You tell me in the comments, because I don't know a canonical reason why. It makes no sense to me. But I'm not going to complain, because it actually gives us something to work with in this run. Once we've beaten all the trainers down, we can go against Blaine, the Fire-type trainer. Blaine is, I wouldn't say difficult. Sludge is a great move in this generation, if I'm being honest. Like, it's the most powerful poison type move in the generation. There's nothing higher than it. The only move that comes comparable is Toxic, and that's for playing the long game. Pretty much looking at Toxic strats is why Koffing is set up the way it is, because it's got higher defense, and you can tank more hits while the Toxic does its damage. The Arcanine though does go down, and we do take a win pretty comfortably. And we pick up Fire Blast, which is going to make us so good compared to Giovanni's team. Annoying thing though, it doesn't have many PP usage, and it has got pretty bad accuracy. But we only need it for 2 Pokemon. We're going to Fire Blast the Rhyhorn, doesn't deal out all too much, and that burn does matter. We've got more HP to work with against the Nidoqueen, and 2 uses of Fire Blast. And that's all we need, but we missed the last Fire Blast, meaning we have to rely on Sludge to get the chip damage in the win. But finally we beat Giovanni at level 55. Thank God we don't have to fight him again. But what we do have to fight next is going to be Sabrina, the Psychic type trainer. And I've put this one off as long as I can, but we need to do it now. So we do have some saving graces about going against Psychic type here. Most of them, their defenses aren't the greatest, and Sludge's physical attack and move in this generation. So we can deal out quite big damage. Fire Blast will take out the Venomoth, and then Alakazam comes out. We don't want to be hit by... I was going to say we don't want to be hit by Psychic, but Psybeam with a crit does just about as much. At level 55 we can outspeed most of their Pokemon, which is pretty embarrassing still. Fire Blast gets us all the way through to this Alakazam again, and we do not outspeed it, but thankfully it goes for Reflect, and then Psywave, meaning the third attack is Psybeam, only dealing half damage, and we get 3 Sludges in to get the win. That was a few more tries than what you've just seen there though, like probably about 6 or 7 tries to beat Sabrina. That was annoying. Anyway, that brings us through to the final gym, and oh god, it's Giovanni again. This is going to hurt. We're at level 57 going into this, and we need to conserve Fire Blast PP usage. We deal out 2 against the Rhyhorn, and then that's when I realised I probably should have kept more. So we're going to go for Sludges. Dig is going to do big damage against us as well, and that's very annoying. And that's all they're going to do. They're going to go for either Guard Specs or they're going to go for Digs. We decided to just go Hell for Leather and go for the Fire Blast though. As long as we can take out the next 2 Pokemon, we can use Toxic to take out the Rhydon. We managed to burn the Nidoking, which is perfect, and we can't Toxic it. That's a misclick. That gets us through the Rhydon. As long as they don't go for Stomp, we should be fine here. We get it poisoned on the first turn, and then we just watch the life drain away out of its eyes. This is why Toxic is a terrifying move, because it increases and accumulates and damage more turns that you are poisoned. Badly poisoned, that's the status effect, not just regular poisoned. But there is all 8 gym badges and just the league challenge to go. But before that, we need to go against our rival, Holographic Skugs. Here you go. Thunderbolt against the Pidgeot. I'm going to go for Fire Blast against the Rhyhorn. It's a one-shot. Gyarados is out next, and it is 4 times weak to Thunder. So we take it down pretty comfortably. So you might be thinking, we're looking alright here. We've got through 3 or 4 Pokemon without taking 1 single point of damage. Remember, Alakazam outspeeds, and it does massive damage against us. Thankfully, it went for Reflect on the second turn, and then Fire Blast can deal with the Venusaur. After 2 growths though, we need some good luck here, and we managed to beat him. That wasn't the first attempt though, but we've spent a lot of time in this video, and I want to get through to the league. The league is going to be difficult, especially when we get to certain trainers, but yeah, this is going to be a difficult league challenge. We'll get straight on with it. Now, why is this a difficult league challenge? Well, we don't one-shot with Thunderbolt on Lorelei's Pokemon, but we can two-shot the majority of them. Thankfully, the Dugong has Rest, so it will only use Psychic-type moves against us. The Slowbro's got Amnesia, so again, it will only use Psychic-type moves against us. Lorelei is actually not too bad of a fight for us. We are level 63, we did level up a bit in... Oh, Hydro Pump. Crit does take us out. Yikes. Let's try that again. We're not far off, though. We did level up quite a bit in Victory Road, because there are a few trainers that yield quite a lot of experience, especially a Chansey trainer. But Lorelei actually isn't that much of a problem for this Poison-type Pokemon. Thunderbolt is probably the biggest saving grace this entire run. If we didn't get Thunderbolt, we would really not be having a great time. We actually managed to tank a Hydro Pump on 2 HP there. Because it wasn't a crit, it was just a low range attack. Well, through the first fire and into the second. Let's see how we do against Bruno. Again, we need to use Fire Blast here to its fullest extent. Sludge can then take it out with a little bit of chip damage, and we go for Sludge on the Hitmonchan. We get a Poison straight away, and 2 Sludges plus Poison damage, well, 3 Sludges takes it down. Hitmonlee uses Mega Kick, and that does tons of damage, so we resort to using Thunderbolt. Fire Blast again burns the Onix. That's 2 burns in 1 fight, and we've only got 1 Pokemon left to deal with here. Machamp. Can we one-shot it with Thunderbolt? No, we can't, so we go for Fire Blast, and he goes for Submission, which is thankfully resisted. Oh, wow. Bruno is still trash. That makes me happy. And then the Devil Incarnate herself comes out, Agatha. We have literally 1 move to work with here. Thunderbolt. Thank God I've used PP ups to make sure we've got 18 uses of it, but we've got everything against us in this fight. Everything against us. We get put to sleep. We've got super effective Dream Eaters coming our way. We got confused. We can be paralysed by Glare. We can be hit by Nightshade, which just set damage. We are not set up for this fight whatsoever. And we have to level up once against level 71 for Thunderbolt to 2-shot. Thankfully, the Arbok is not the greatest Pokemon to go against. Like, it's not the greatest Pokemon to be facing. It goes down pretty comfortably. Gengar, thankfully, as well, gets paralysed on the first Thunderbolt, meaning we can get 2 Thunderbolts in and get the win. But level 71, this is tough. Although, as we rediscovered on the last video, Poison types do incredibly well against Lance. Reason for that? 3 out of his 5 Pokemon have got Psychic type moves on their movesets, but they're all Psychic type moves that just increase stats. Meaning, 3 out of 5 Pokemon are free battles. The only Pokemon we really need to worry about is the Aerodactyl. Gyarados went down to 1 Thunderbolt, as you saw, and thankfully Aerodactyl also goes down to a Thunderbolt. From here, we can use the cheese strats and just use Toxic to take down that Dragonite. Even if he uses his healing moves, like his heal items, poison damage will just keep accumulating. It's an easy fight for a Koffing. This brings us to the final fight against Holographic Skux. Thunderbolt will take out the Pidgeot. Alakazam is out second, which honestly helps us out in this fight. We can take it down in one, which we can after a Sludge. We can get through to the Rhyhorn and use Fire Blast. Now we're on 44 HP, and we've still got 3 Pokemon to go after this Rhydon. Thankfully, he doesn't really go for many attacking moves, and this actually opens it up where he's going to be using Leer and Tail Whip a lot. That induces the Badge Boost glitch involuntary. I wasn't realising this until I actually got further through this fight, but that gives us more than enough to actually deal out bigger damage against the rest of his Pokemon. I always forget that they can induce the Badge Boost glitch when I'm doing these runs. We get a lucky paralysis on that Arcanine, and we go for a final Fire Blast. He goes for... wow. He went for Solar Beam, giving us a chance to use Sludge and get a win. Level 73, that is incredibly high leveled, but this is a bad Pokemon, so what did you expect? Let's see what time we finished on, and we finished on 5 hours 20 minutes. Yeah, that makes sense. This is a bad Pokemon, I don't recommend it. But it's one more off the list, and that brings us close to our goal of solo running every single Pokemon from Gen 1. Let's see what we get next on the wheel. First up is Grimer. We've just done a poison type. I'm not 100% sure I want to do another straight away, especially a base form. Second is Taurus. Oh, one of my subscribers has definitely been wanting this one to come up. Might be a strong choice unless there's something better that comes out. I'm sorry, mate. I've got to go for the Seal run. I'm so sorry, but Seal and Dugong are such a fan favourites on this channel. I can't not do this one. If you got to this point in the video, please like and subscribe, you legends, and we will see you in the next video for the Seal run. Take care.